With Rugby League 26 fast approaching, one of the things that every fan should be excited to see is the overall ratings of each player. It's certain to be subject to a lot of debate, both from players of the game and also just casual fans, but it is really difficult to come up with a rating system that keeps everyone happy. So, given that I expect I'm going to be a little bit critical of some of the player ratings when they come out, I thought it's only fair that I have a go myself of trying to predict the ratings of the best players in our game. This video also serves as the official announcement of my brand new channel, Leaguie Games. It'll be your home of Rugby League 26 content with both career mode and pro team series, as well as even potentially other games at the request of you guys. This is me very much fulfilling a childhood dream, so best believe I'm going to be giving my absolute all to it. I've already uploaded a video over there, and there's another one coming out tomorrow going through the legends that I'm hoping to see in the game. So make sure you check that out. Link is in the pinned comment. So today I'll be counting down the 25 NRL players I'd be giving the highest overall ratings to, with a lot of focus on 2024, but also a sprinkling of 2025 form. This one's sure to be pretty controversial, so without further ado, let's get into it. First up is spot 25 is Cameron Munster, and I've given him an overall rating of 87. Now, I kind of know what you're thinking already. How is a premiership winning Queensland captain all the way down in 25th spot? It's a valid question, and yeah, I don't deny that when you think about Munster individually, you're probably like, yep, he's a top 10 player in our game. But I promise you, you could make that argument for every single player in this video. Munster is still a phenomenal player, but last season he did take a bit of a backseat to Jahrome Hughes, and I'm expecting Big Ant to weight the ratings more towards 2024. He's back to some better form this season, but I do think we're yet to see him quite back to his peak, so 87 is good enough for me. In 24th spot is his Storm teammate Ryan Papenhuyzen, also rated 87. It's a similar story in that there was probably a time I'd have had Pappy rated a tad higher. But as good as he's looked in returning from probably the worst injury run we've seen in modern history, I do think he's not quite back to his best yet. That said though, this list has him in the top 5 fullbacks in the game, and that is absolutely nothing to scoff at. In spot number 23, I've gone with Herbie Farnworth. Now he's one of only 2 centers in this video, no prizes for guessing who the other one is. His form since arriving at the Finns has been nothing short of spectacular. I mean, this guy is genuinely a superstar of our game. I think 87 though is a good rating for now. I mean, especially given that he shares that rating with a number of other more experienced guys. As ratings do get updated though, I'd be very open to putting Herbie even potentially a little higher. I really rate Herbie Farnworth, and I think he's just getting better year on year. Sticking in the 87s for a few more spots yet, I've got Bronco and Queensland Maroon Patrick Carrigan. Carrigan was a guy I almost left off this list because his stardom often gets overshadowed by the likes of Payne Haas, Reece Walsh, and even Adam Reynolds. But if I'm building a new franchise, Carrigan is the exact kind of guy that I want to build it around. If he's not one of the better defensive players in Rugby League 26, then Big Ant haven't done it right. With the Broncos having very high highs and very low lows in recent history, Carrigan has always remained pretty consistent, so I've got to give him credit for that. Not to be outdone as a forward leader though, Joe Tapine has to be on this list. He's not spoken about as much as a lot of other guys, being a Kiwi playing outside of the Sydney and Queensland media bubbles. But there is a reason why this man is so loved by head coach Ricky Stewart. He's a guy who puts up incredible numbers week in, week out, in a side that isn't particularly star-studded, so I really do think Joe Tapine is one of the better forwards in the game. And finally, the last of the 87s, in spot number 20 comes Cowboys half Tom Dearden. I was pretty close to giving him an 88 just because I do rate Dearden very highly, but I think he just has to achieve a little bit more at club level to really break into that elite caliber of player. With Daly Cherry Evans outside of the origin picture for now, Tom Dearden is going to be a mainstay in that arena for a very long time. Captain of the Cowboys, Queensland halfback, aged only 24. I mean, this guy has a hell of a career ahead of him. Zac Lomax comes in at number 19 at 88 overall. He had an absolutely tremendous 2024 season and has looked great in the origin arena ever since coming in there. He's probably yet to get back to that level for the Eels this year, but that is admittedly a club who are struggling right now. This is admittedly probably one of the ones where the 2024 form is doing a lot of heavy lifting, but Zac Lomax came into the NRL with a heap of potential, and I do think that we're really starting to see that now. Also at 88 is Knights captain and Queensland fullback Kalyn Ponga. Now, KP is a player who I've been relatively critical critical of at various points in his career. I mean, he's received a lot of hype, particularly early on in his career. But the fact is that on his day, Kalyn is capable of doing things that literally no other player is capable of. I'd call him by far the silkiest player in our game. He has a habit of carrying the Newcastle Knights on his back and has a Dally M to prove it. Kalyn absolutely deserves an 88. And in a bit of contrast, Jarome Luai is a player who I probably rate a little bit higher than most. I think he's an immensely good half, and Penrith certainly missed him early on this season. The fact is, you don't win 4 premierships and multiple Origin series without being incredibly talented. He's taken on one hell of a challenge moving to the Tigers this year, and the jury, I'll admit, is still out on that, but one thing's for sure, Jarome Luai will be one of the most fun players to use in Rugby League 26. And speaking of fun players to use, who's keen on throwing Latrell Mitchell into the centres in this game? I remember how utterly dominant Greg Inglis was back in Rugby League Live 3, and I am ready to wind back the clock with Latrell Mitchell this time around. I know that there'll be people critiquing his rating based on consistency, but I do think he's improved a lot in that area in 2025. And he's the kind of player who'll have stats that are just too high to have any rating lower than this. Finally, for the 88s, a whisker away from being an 89, I've got Tino Fa'asuamaleaui. He was limited to only 2 games last season through an ACL injury, but Tino literally embodies everything you would want from a forward in the NRL. I mean, his effort, his impact, his leadership, they're all just off the charts. Damn, now I really want to make him an 89. Screw it, Tino is an 89. In the same way that Kalyn so often puts the Knights on his back, Tino does that exact thing for the Titans. He's the ever-reliable man in a side that is notoriously inconsistent. He definitely deserves some credit for that. And now, it's spot number 14, we are getting into the real big guns. AFB had an incredible few seasons at the Warriors and of course made the shift to the Shire this season. I probably thought the Sharks would improve quite a bit more on the back of that signing, but they do still have time to turn things around. He's a forward who knows how to find the line with 9 and 8 tries in the last 2 seasons. If the video game can capture just how destructive he is close to the line, he'll be a very, very fun player to use in Rugby League 26. Now, this is the one that I think a lot of people might disagree with, but I've got South Sydney captain Cameron Murray at 89 overall. Murray did his ACL in the preseason and is a good chance of missing the entire year, so he is a little bit out of sight, out of mind. But his career has been incredible so far. I mean, he's a Kangaroo, he's a New South Wales Blue, and he's gone all the way to a grand final with his boyhood club, the Rabbitohs. He's the club's poster boy, and as a Roosters fan, I should logically really dislike him, but I just can't. And I think that that's really, really telling. I think you can see just how much the Rabbitohs have missed him this year. At spot number 12, it's yet another middle forward. And when you talk about the most intimidating players in our sport, you'll be very, very hard pressed to find someone better at that than James Fisher-Harris. I really thought that it would take time for his impact to be felt at the Warriors, but it has been instantaneous. Very, very few players have won 4 premierships, especially in the modern era. But Fish led the Panthers through that, and there's a very, very strong case to say that they've missed him even more than they've missed Jarome Luai this season. 89 is more than deserved. Nearly into the top 10 now, and look, I could only put off having a Rooster for so long. Spoiler though, before you do give me too much credit, I do have Hugo Savala as the highest rated player in the game. Angus's 2024 was outstanding. I mean, he started the season in reserve grade, and by the end of it, was the State of Origin player of the series and probably the Roosters' best performer all year. He was absolutely unplayable, and as such is one of the highest ranked forwards in my ratings. Into the top 10, now things are getting spicy, and in 10th place, I've got the first of the 90s, Dylan Edwards. I expect that some will argue with this rating, but you cannot deny results. Plus, AFL 26, also made by Big Ant Studios, has all top 25 players ranked 90 or above, so for me to have it limited to my top 10 is pretty conservative. He's won the last 4 premierships based on nothing but effort plays, typified in 2021 where he barely trained at all throughout the final series because he had a broken foot. All he could do was show up on game day, get the injections and play through the pain. It is incredible. He's an Origin winning New South Wales Blue and a Kangaroo, which in a golden era of fullbacks is a very impressive feat. While I could understand you having Edwards rated potentially a little lower, I do think that he deserves to be here. And Amanda Edwards won 3 of those premierships alongside Stephen Crichton is the highest rated centre in my rankings, and I think that 90 suits him perfectly. It's weird because Critter is not the fastest or the strongest or even necessarily the silkiest center in our game, but he always just seemed to be in the right place at the right time to make the big plays. His defensive work at center is fantastic, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to forget earlier this year when he was at GIO Stadium. I was there watching it live, and he carried the Bulldogs on his back to overturn a 20-0 halftime deficit to win the game 32-20. He is a player and a half and deserves every bit of this rating in my opinion. And finally, we arrive in the 91s. Now, Brian To'o is the greatest winger of this generation, hands down. He really, in many ways, has redefined the amount of work that modern wingers are expected to get through in a game. At only 26 years old as well, he's going to be around for a very long time yet. It really surprised me this season that it only took half a year of Penrith performing badly for people to forget how absolutely elite their players are, and To'o absolutely falls into that category. 91 for me, if not higher. To their Western Sydney rivals next though, and I've got Mitch Moses rated at 91. He's only managed 6 appearances since Game 3 of Origin last year, but his work on that night was spectacular, only overshadowed by his work in Game 2 a few weeks earlier. It's easy to forget that not long ago, Moses was viewed as a wonder kid with wasted potential. In 2018, in a halves partnership with Corey Norman, the Eels won the spoon. It was an absolute flashpoint moment, one which led to Norman departing the side, a rookie 5'8" Dylan Brown being promoted into the starting team, and Moses being handed the keys to the Eels. And neither he or the club have looked back. He's a captain now, he's a legend, he's the Prince of Para, he is everything to that team. Brilliant player. Now for the last of the 91s, Harry Grant is the best hooker in our game. It is an absolute joke that the Storm got to have Cameron Smith for his entire career, and the moment he retires, replace him from within with a guy like Harry Grant. When I think of dynamic hookers, not like that, I think of Harry Grant, and he has absolutely flourished in his role as Storm captain. If ruck speed is something that you can exploit in Rugby League 26, Grant could become an extremely effective player to have. Into the top 5, and I simply couldn't have James Tedesco rated any lower than this. My red, white, and blue blood simply wouldn't allow it. But this rating is another one that I will stand by as being absolutely deserved. It's unbelievable to think about this now, but only a couple years ago, there were genuine calls for James Tedesco to retire. I mean, I vehemently disagreed with him at the time, and I feel vindicated as hell now. He came within a whisker of his second Dally M medal last year, but won his 4th Fullback of the Year award, becoming the first player in history to do so. He also won his 6th Roosters Player of the Season award in only his 7th season with the club. I mean this sincerely, like the Roosters are 117 years old, but James Tedesco genuinely is in the conversation for their greatest player ever. And when the game comes out, I know who I'm picking as my fullback. The 4th highest rated player I would have in the game is from the Brisbane Broncos, Payne Haas. There just isn't a player in this sport that does what Payne Haas does at such a consistent level, both at the club and the representative level of the game. He's averaging a whopping 174 running meters a game at the time of writing, but the stat that I found the most incredible, get this, he is tackling at an efficiency of 98.2%. That is insane for a big man who plays big minutes. The fact that he's still only 25 scares me as an opposition fan, but I'm just glad that he's a New South Welshman. I'm not sure how much money this guy is going to cost in career mode, but let me tell you, I will be after him for sure. Into the 93s now, we've got Panthers, New South Wales, and Australia captain Isaah Yeo. A player who only a few years ago was described by Matty Johns as the best player in our game, he is now the most capped Panther of all time, and in many ways has redefined the technical aspects of the game that you can expect from a lock forward. If Nathan Cleary is the most important player in the Panthers era, then Isaah Yeo is probably number 2. And despite the Panthers' relative struggles so far this year, he's the man that set the bar for the last 5 years, so he deserves a lot of credit for that. Into the top 2, the battle for first place, Jahrome Hughes ultimately loses out. He's the Dally M winner from last year and was pretty much objectively the best player in the comp last season. In a year where Cameron Munster missed a lot of game time, Ryan Papenhuyzen did as well, Jahrome Hughes carried them to a minor premiership. Given how expensive I'm expecting a certain other halfback might be in the game's pro tiers mode, Jahrome Hughes could be a really good alternative. I just want to know whether Big Ant have gone to the trouble of animating his iconic lightning style headgear, because that'd be really, really cool to have in the game. And of course, number 1. Praising Nathan Cleary on the internet opens you up to comment sections full of people saying that you're glazing, but the fact is, this guy has won the last 94 premierships. He's the only player rated 94 for me, which in fairness is lower than the best players in the game in the past have been. I remember back in the day playing Rugby League Live 3 and you had Jonathan Thurston who was 95 overall. But 94 is consistent with the highest rated player in AFL 26, so I think that kind of makes sense. He's the best player that I've seen in my lifetime, and I do think that he's going to get a lot more credit from fans after he retires. Nathan is a special player, and I absolutely stand by having him as the outright highest rated player in the NRL. So there we have it, all 25 of them done. Don't forget to head over to Leaguie Games after this in the pinned comment, and look out for the video that I'm uploading over there tomorrow going through the legends that I'm hoping to see in the game. Anyway, I'm really keen to hear whether you agree or disagree with me in the comments below, so let me know. Until then though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.